On April 9, Oklahoma State University hosted a drag queen story hour for children as young as 2 years old on its campus. The event was part of the university's Pride 2022 celebration. A description for the program stated 2 drag performers would read books to all attendees and that the drag queen story hour was geared toward children between the ages of 2 to 8, but that all ages were welcome to join in on the fun. You read that correctly. A major university, paid for by the good conservative citizens here in the heartland of America, is openly declaring that it is working to groom our children and that they are starting when they are as young as 2 years old. This nonsense is pervasive across our nation. What happens in Vegas doesn't stay in Vegas. If it's happening in Oklahoma, it is happening in your own backyard. You've been told before of the Chicago Public School District, where they now provide prophylactics to all 5th graders throughout the city's school system because they want to make condoms available to students when they think they need them. You've been told before of the Arizona Department of Education's promotion of books and research papers that claim babies as young as 3 months old already harbor sexual biases that demand the state's intervention. You've been told before of New York City's Justine Enfant, who proudly defends teaching 1st graders in Manhattan how to masturbate while at the same time teaching porn literacy to juniors at New York's Columbia Grammar and Prep. And then there is the National Education Association. You've been told before of this organization's official declaration at its last annual conference, where its members voted to codify the following: "We resolve to develop a study to critique cis-heteropatriarchy." In other words, the NEA is telling you straight up that they will be teaching your children that 2-parent families, traditional morality, and heterosexual fidelity should be dismantled and replaced by their neo-Marxist sexual nihilism. You've been told before of Bartlesville Public Schools in Bartlesville, Oklahoma, where they now openly promote Toni Morrison's book, The Bluest Eye, which includes a full-page salacious description of a father raping his daughter. You have been repeatedly told of all of this. You've also been told of last summer's production of the San Francisco Gay Men's Choir, where they sang over and over and over again, "We'll convert your children." It happens bit by bit, quietly and subtly, and you will barely notice it. We'll convert your children. Yes, we will. There's really no escaping it. We'll convert your children. We're coming for them. We're coming for your children. We're coming for your children. We'll convert your children. The bottom line is this: your public schools are grooming your children. This is just a fact. They admit it. They are doing it openly and without apology, and they are starting before your children can even recite their ABCs. This is not a QAnon conspiracy, nor is it the moral panic of homophobic conservatives who are just freaking out. This garbage is real. It is simply and clearly a fact. But there's more. Not only are your local schools abusing your sons' and daughters' hearts, minds, and souls, but they are also abusing their bodies. America's public schools have become hunting grounds for sexual predators. Chris Rufo reported the following: the most comprehensive analysis concerning sexual abuse in America's public schools, published by the U.S. Department of Education, estimates that nearly 10% of K-12 students have been victims of sexual misconduct by a public school employee. In case you missed it, Mr. Rufo just shined a light on the ugly fact that our own government is admitting our public schools are sexually abusing 10% of your children. That's more than 4.5 million children nationwide. In 2014, the Government Accountability Office published a report warning of all this. They said that public school employees were grooming students with the intent to perpetrate future sexual abuse or misconduct. That misconduct includes grooming and chemically castrating your child to validate their woke agenda. They told us that educators were exhibiting patterns of grooming behaviors such as sexually charged communication aimed at explicit sexual contact with the child. Pushing drag queen story hours for 2-year-olds at Oklahoma State. Distributing condoms to 5th graders in Chicago. Teaching masturbation to 1st graders in New York. Fixing sexual biases of 3-month-old babies in Arizona. Critiquing cis-heteropatriarchy at the National Education Association. And readings on salacious incest in Bartlesville. Maybe when they tell us, "We'll convert your children," We're coming for them. We're coming for your children. We're coming for your children. We should start believing them. To explain critical race theory, it helps to begin with a brief history of Marxism. Originally, the Marxist left built its political program on the theory of class conflict. Karl Marx believed that the primary characteristic of industrial societies was the imbalance of power between capitalists and workers. The solution to that imbalance, according to Marx, was revolution. The workers would eventually gain consciousness of their plight, seize the means of production, overthrow the capitalist class, and usher in a new socialist society. It failed, over and over and over. But rather than abandon their political project, Marxist scholars in the West simply adapted their revolutionary theory to the social and racial unrest of the 1960s. Abandoning Marx's economic dialectic of capitalists and workers, they substituted race for class and sought to create a revolutionary coalition of the dispossessed based on racial, ethnic, or more recently, gender categories. Critical race theory is an academic discipline, formulated in the 1990s and built on the intellectual framework of identity-based Marxism. Relegated for many years to universities and obscure academic journals, it has increasingly become the default ideology in our public institutions over the past decade. It has been injected into government agencies, public school systems, teacher training programs, and corporate human resources departments in the form of diversity training programs, human resources modules, public policy frameworks, and school curricula. Basically, they're indoctrinating your kids to be good little communists.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Wes Rexroad. I'm a parent to a middle school student here in Martin County, former senior reactor operator at the nuclear power plant up on Hutchinson Island, and commander, United States Navy, retired. You know, Ray Bradbury, the author of Fahrenheit 451, had a great quote. You don't have to burn books to destroy a culture. You just have to get people to stop reading them. You know, on September 11, 2001, I was on board USS Theodore Roosevelt when religious fanatics who wouldn't even let women be educated flew planes into the World Trade Center and my Pentagon. I spent the last decade of my naval career fighting religious fascism abroad. Never thought I'd have to fight it right here in the United States of America. I grew up in rural South Carolina, and books got me out of the trailer parks. My parents trusted those educators and the librarians to let me read what I needed to read. I spent 21 years in the Naval Nuclear Propulsion Program, where Admiral Hyman Rickover said a questioning attitude was the key to success in the nuclear power program. I want my son exposed to different ideas and different viewpoints so that he can learn to think critically and not be force-fed somebody else's opinion. We've all been exposed to different opinions. Makes us better. Makes us stronger. Adversity has made me stronger. I didn't sacrifice 21 years of my life to stand idly by while religious fanatics and other fanatics try to impose fascism on my country. I urge you to think about what a book ban needs and use transparency. I don't need anyone else telling my son